Hi, everybody. Peace, y'all. It's been a long time. I know. Hold on one second. Let me make sure everything is good. Um, I feel like my camera is low. I hope y'all are doing well. I hope y'all can hear me too. I feel like it's been so long since I recorded, not necessarily recorded, but like been live. So let me make sure like my mic and everything is set up. Okay. I hope y'all can hear me. But yeah, I feel like it's been forever. How y'all doing? Much peace, much love, much light. I wish y'all wellness, enjoy. I hope that everyone is good. Thank you so much, Shauna. It's been like 2 weeks since I've posted anything or since I went live the last time. So I just wanted to come check in and catch up with y'all. I'm actually about to oil my hair, oil my locks. Hey, Moni. Hi, Shauna. Hi, everybody. So I'm gonna oil my locks now while I'm on live with y'all. So I just wanted to catch up and see how y'all doing and see what's going on. First off, I already know people gonna ask, so let me explain what I'm oiling my locks with. Y'all know that I posted the hair growth formula on the on like the community thing. I don't know, when you post a picture on YouTube, it goes under the community section on your YouTube page. So the recipe for my hair growth formula is in there, but essentially what's in the bottle, this is like avocado oil, coconut oil, peppermint oil, eucalyptus oil. I have a little bit of lavender in here and some lemon oil, but that's essentially what's in here. So I'm gonna oil my locks now. You can look for the recipe and everything on the community page thing, I think, on the under my YouTube channel. You'll be able to see it. But that's what I'm oiling my locks with right now. So I'm gonna do that while I catch up with y'all and let y'all know what's been going on in my life, and then we could talk about, some topics that have been coming up. Y'all know when I do lives, I like to do. I'm not gonna be looking at the camera. I'm gonna be looking at myself, so I can make sure that I'm oiling my scalp. But y'all know when I do lives, I like to talk about what's going on, in the social political world. But first, let me catch y'all up on what's been going on in my life and why I have been gone for so long, or for these past 2 weeks. So basically, these last couple of weeks, a lot of things have occurred. Being a spiritual person, I'm very connected with, of course, with spirit and with certain things. So I get kind of like signs and messages, and I get feelings when something is happening or something is gonna happen. I get various signs and omens about certain things that are gonna come, and so on and so forth, right? So, about a couple of weeks ago, I was feeling like a little anxious, and I didn't know where it was coming from. I was just feeling like a little anxious, but I knew that something was coming. I knew that something, I had a feeling that something was going to happen. And then I just, started communicating with God and praying and communicating with the universe and asking for signs of, like what to look out for, and, praying that I'm prepared for whatever's going to come. And I started feeling like a heaviness in my chest. Started feeling a heaviness in my chest. And didn't know what it was or what was going on, what was causing it. So on the last live, I told y'all that my mother had contacted me. We got back in contact and we spoke. We had one conversation. Just one. We had one conversation. So if you don't know, I haven't heard from my mother in over 7 years. I haven't heard from her in over 7 years. And you can look at previous videos, but long story short, growing up, my mother had a mental illness and various other issues and stuff like that. So it was a lot of trauma growing up. And it's been 7 years since she's been in my life. So I had a conversation with her, and I thought maybe, that was the feeling. But even after that conversation, the feeling was still there. So, once again, still communicating with spirit, like, what's going on? Give me a sign, what's up? And I'm just going to make a long story short. Basically, the universe let me know that there was going to be like a series of revelations that occurred. And you guys, there's been a series of revelations. I prayed and prayed and prayed. If you follow me on Instagram, I've definitely been posting on Instagram. And I posted a prayer from Super. If you don't know who Super Saint is, she's like a dope sister that, she's been doing YouTube and Instagram for a minute, but she came out with the crayon case makeup line and blew up big off of that. but she been going through some things recently, and she posted a prayer basically saying, like, asking God to reveal people in her life and things in her life that are not meant for her wellness. And I pray a very similar prayer every single day. Every single day I pray, you know, I pray the way I pray. And then I ask, to remove anything and anyone that is not of you, remove anything and anyone from my life in a peaceful, positive manner, remove them peacefully if they are not for my wellness and not of my highest supreme energy. And if they are meant to lower my vibration, make a way for them to be easily and peacefully removed. Show me who they are. So a lot has been happening, and with that being stated, and a lot of things and a lot of people who are just not meant to elevate or to move along with me have been showing themselves. So I've been dealing with that these past couple of weeks, and over time, as certain things have been revealing, the anxiety and the heaviness in my chest has been dissipating, but there was still something there, and I was like, okay, I knew that another like big thing was coming, right? So the big thing came, and the big thing that came was my grandfather was hospitalized. He was having some issues with his kidney. My grandfather, I told y'all in one live that my grandfather is 83 years old. I was wrong. My grandfather's actually 87 years old, right? Wow. So didn't know. I thought my grandfather was 83. He was born in the 30s, so he doesn't have a birth certificate. They didn't have birth certificates. He was born home birth in the country, in the South, in Georgia. So he doesn't have a birth certificate. I always thought that I didn't know he was born in the year that he was born in. So he's 87 years old, and he recently had some issues with his kidneys, and he was dealing with that. But thank God, I spoke to him. He had to have surgery and stuff. And I spoke to him yesterday. He's home from the hospital. He's doing much, much better. He's feeling better, he said. So that's good news. But that's what's been going on for me with that's been going on with me these last couple of weeks. And just, finding balance. I definitely feel much better. I feel much lighter. Shout out to everybody who's just been checking in, sending me messages on Instagram like, girl, you ain't on YouTube, you okay? Like, I haven't seen you. I appreciate y'all. Shout out to the wellness community for maintaining and, doing well without me, because I haven't been that active in the wellness community at all. And I appreciate y'all just still showing love and really supporting each other and, still being in the group chat and everything. Thank y'all so much. I appreciate that. Brandy, Shauna, I appreciate you. But yeah, that's what's been going on with me. So yeah, you see, okay. I don't use that much oil. It may look like I'm pouring a lot, but it just comes out literally in drops, you see? So I'm not using that much. I don't put that much oil in my hair, y'all. Just a little bit, and I go slow, and I just massage it in as I go. That's how I oil my scalp. But yeah, so a lot has been happening, as we can see, in the news and in the media. So the whole Kanye thing, I haven't been on since then, since his entire journey, since he claimed he was running for president. Then he said he was running for president and went to South Carolina and did that speech where he said what he said about Harriet Tubman and all of that. All of that is old news, as we know. I don't think he's even no longer running, because he didn't turn in the signatures or whatever, so he didn't make the ballot in South Carolina. He's still claiming president, 2020, he's running for president or whatever, but I don't think he really is. I really think Kanye West is having an episode. It's so interesting that they refer to it as an episode because, as y'all know, my mother was diagnosed with bipolar disorder when I was young, and that's what we used to refer to it as when she would go into her moments or her time periods. We would say like, oh, she's having an episode. And honestly, y'all, when it comes to the whole Kanye thing, right, something that I want to acknowledge is the fact that a lot of people do not have a full understanding of what bipolar disorder really is or how it actually works and functions. A lot of people just don't know. So some people feel like, oh, he's saying he has bipolar, but it just so happens it's album time. I feel like this is a stunt. Some people are saying like, which is understandable. Some people are like, it's funny how every time he's having an episode, he always has to go against the Black community, and people have issues, and a lot of people are saying we shouldn't always, chalk it up to his mental illness. Um, yes, it's detrimental but very misunderstood. I agree with that, Chris. The thing about bipolar disorder, you guys, bipolar disorder is something that the only way I can describe it is they rationalize irrational shit. Things to us that sound crazy, and when I say us, I mean people who don't have bipolar disorder. Things that to most people would sound crazy and irrational. In their mind, they rationalize it and it makes sense to them. And anyone else who doesn't believe this is the enemy and is against them. So when you see him saying these things and you see him spilling these thoughts and these views, that yes, they sound very irrational and they sound very illogical, but he has rationalized them in his mind, which helps him to be able to articulate it. So it makes it seem as though he really, really believes the foolishness that he's saying. When in actuality, if he was in his right mind, he probably wouldn't even be believing this. But because he's having an episode, he's rationalized these illogical theories and thoughts and things like that. And oftentimes they become obsessive. The way my mother used to describe it, she used to say it's like a movie playing. She used to be like, it's like a movie playing over and over in your head, over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And that's how she describes it. So imagine sitting there and watching a movie over and over and over and over. If you have this theory or you have this thought or you have this idea in your mind, even if it sounds crazy or illogical, if you play it over and over and over, eventually it's going to start to make sense. So when I hear him say certain things like what he said about Harriet Tubman, and just the history of crazy stuff that he said, that's all. I'm like, oh, to him, this really sounds rational. To him, this really sounds logical. And everybody else in their mind is the enemy. And I do understand people feeling like, well, the only time he seems to have an episode is when it's album time. Let me say this about bipolar disorder. Anytime there's a major change or shift going on in their life, it's a trigger for an episode. Anytime there's a major event, something that some people would get anxiety over, something that some people would be scared of or afraid of or whatever, or something that may be a positive moment, but it's just a big change or shift, it triggers an episode. So him coming out with an album can trigger an episode. So two things can be true, or more than one thing, because three things can be true, four things can be true. In this case, two things can be true. Yes, you're right. Every time he has an episode that we publicly see, because he also may have a lot that we don't see, but every time he has an episode that we publicly see, yes, it's around album time. That is true. However, album time can also be a trigger for an episode. So just because they happen around album time does not mean that they don't actually happen or that it's not really an episode. Actually, that's the prime recipe, that's the perfect recipe for a bipolar episode or any type of mental illness episode, just like anxiety, just like depression, anything. Absolutely heightened stress level. Yes, Moni. That's what it is. So that is true. I don't feel like we should negate the fact that, oh, he's just doing this for publicity or whatever. Like, he just wants the public to know that he got an album coming out, so it's just a publicity stunt. No, like he absolutely, truly may be having an episode that is triggered by this album coming out. And I'm not saying all of this to excuse his behavior at all. I just think that we as human beings in this time period, I feel like a lot of people are showing their lack of empathy. And I've been saying this for a while. When I first started talking about coronavirus and like before it even like got big, got huge, and we all got in quarantine and stuff, even through the coronavirus epidemic or pandemic or whatever, and seeing how people are responding to that, a lot of people lack empathy in this world. People still saying like, oh, coronavirus is a conspiracy theory. People don't want to wear their mask. But the moment that somebody close to them dies, now they feel it. Now they get it. You shouldn't have to experience trauma to understand or empathize with trauma. And I feel like a lot of people are in that space. They have to experience it themselves in order to understand that. And that's why when Kim Kardashian made her statement, and she was like, you know, if you live with somebody with bipolar, or you love someone with bipolar disorder and really live with them and know them, then you understand. But if you have not, you probably would not understand. Because unfortunately, in the world that we live in, a lot of people lack empathy. They don't take the time to go out and research and study. They get offended, you know, which a lot of people were offended by what he said, and then you're the enemy. That person is the enemy, and they don't think, well, let me try to understand their rationale. Let me try to understand their mind. So when I'm saying this stuff, it's not to excuse what he said, because the things that he was saying was absolutely crazy. When he snapped on that black girl and he called himself checking her, come on, you don't talk to a, first off, you don't talk to a woman like that. You don't publicly shame a woman that way. You don't talk down to her. You know, all that was just completely disrespectful, especially a sister, especially during the time that we live in. That was unnecessary. So he was dead wrong. What he said about Harriet Tubman, he was dead wrong. Right, she absolutely could have been a fan. He was dead wrong for what he said, you know. So once again, when I say this, I'm not excusing. I'm just also trying to be empathetic and look at both sides. The same way I would want somebody to do for somebody I love, you know. But at the end of the day, you know, like I was saying, with him having bipolar disorder, two things could be true. He could be having an episode, and yes, it normally happens around album time. And it happening around album time makes people believe it less, you know, which is okay, and that's understandable. Another thing that absolutely can be true is the fact that his rage when he has episodes is triggered towards the black is you know, towards the black community, focused towards the black community. It seems like he always has negative things to say about black history. He always has negative things to say about black people. All of that can be true. But what can also be true is he has experienced trauma at the hands of being black, or at the hands of the black community. He has experienced trauma because of who he is and how he shows up. And unfortunately, now listen to what I'm saying. Unfortunately, you know, as black people, especially in our community, when we elevate and we start prospering, we start doing well, people around us feel entitled, you know, and because we black, most of the people around us are black folks. So most of our trauma, as you progress and as you elevate, whether it's spiritually, mentally, or physically, as you elevate and people around you start changing, sometimes you start to generalize that, and you start to say, you know what's the most common thing? Oh, I started doing good and niggas switched up. Niggas did this, niggas did that. You know, so people, you start to see a lot of your own people. Hey, Kelly, you start to see a lot of your own people as your enemy, which is wrong. Once again, I'm not excusing what he's doing or what he's saying. It's wrong. But let's really look at the rationale. So when someone who's bipolar is having an episode, they're triggered from whatever high stress levels, whatever traumatic event or sudden change is happening in their life, the episode is triggered, and then their trauma is going to be geared towards whom or whatever caused them trauma. If he feels like racism or being black or other black people have caused him trauma, that is who his rage and that's who his his now rationalized irrational thoughts are going to be triggered towards, you know. And then he'll go through the cycle, y'all. That's how bipolar disorder works. It's a cycle. What happens is they get extreme grandiosity, which is where he is now, which in the grandiose phase, they feel full of themselves. They feel like they could do anything in the world, like run for president. You know, some of them move toward addiction. They become obsessed with certain things, certain thoughts, certain activities. That's where addiction comes in. And then they move through the cycle. They start to go down. And then they get to the severe depression side of it. That is bipolar disorder. Severe extreme grandiosity, then it goes straight to severe extreme depression, where that depression sometimes looks like suicide ideation. It looks like going into a phase of just literally mentally and spiritually, physically shutting down. They don't want to bathe. They don't want to eat. They lock themselves in their room. They go into solitude. That's what it looks like. And normally at that phase is when a hospital stay comes in. That's when, they end up getting mandated into the mental hospital. Once they go into the mental hospital, they get placed on medication. The mental hospital rebalances them out, and then they are released, and then the cycle starts all over again. They start doing well while they're on the medication, go back into the grandiose, back into depression, boom, the cycle repeats itself. That's literally how bipolar disorder works. That's literally how it works. If you research it, or if you know someone who has it, and I'm not talking about people who self-diagnose and they like, oh, people who are clinically diagnosed with bipolar disorder. That is how it works. And I've heard people say, well, if he knows he has this, why doesn't he get on medication? Why doesn't he get on medication? Honestly, you guys, what ends up happening is they convince themselves that they don't need the medication. You got to remember, you're telling a person who is not mentally well to be responsible for their mental wellness. That is an oxymoron. You're telling a person who's not mentally well to be responsible for their mental wellness, which is where the system is fucked up at, really. Like, it's where the system goes wrong, because a person who is not mentally well being told that they have to be responsible for their mental wellness is a bit problematic, because they're not mentally well enough to be responsible for it. A lot of times, once again, they rationalize irrational things. So they rationalize these thoughts. They rationalize their behavior. They don't think that there's anything wrong with them. They don't think that it's them. It's not them, it's you. In their mind, once again, if you are against them, you are the enemy. If you have a different thought than they have, you are the enemy. That's literally how it works. So oftentimes they get off the medication. And them choosing to not take the medication could be because they don't think anything is wrong, or sometimes it's because they don't like how the medicine makes them feel. My mother used to say she used to say when she was on her medicine, it made her feel like a zombie. And honestly, like, she would kind of be very much, for the people around her, we appreciated it because she was calm and she was like, much more easy to deal with. But for a lot of other people, and including herself, she just wasn't herself. My mother was very jovial. She's very, like, youthful, you know what I'm saying? Very young, acting, like, always joking, dancing, laughing. Then she'll be on the medication and she's just, like, stuck, like a zombie, and that's how she would describe it. So she just would stop taking the medicine. So telling someone who has a mental illness to take their medication, if they know they got this problem, why they don't just take the medicine? First off, you don't know how that medicine makes them feel. Second, oftentimes they don't even recognize that they have a problem, because in their mind it makes sense. We are the problem. Everyone else is the problem. So you really have to think about that. And once again, this is where the system messes up at, because a lot of people don't know. And Kim Kardashian kind of hinted at this when she responded to everything that was going on. A lot of people don't know that you can have a loved one who is doing what Kanye is doing, and you know that they are having an episode, and you really know what's going to happen. Like, all right, after this, y'all, he's going to get depressed. He may try to commit suicide. Unfortunately, because the way the law works, it's nothing that we could do. You could love the person to death. It's nothing you can do. You cannot force them to get help. You cannot force them to take their medication. You can do nothing about it. You could go to court and try to get them court mandated into a mental facility. But if you do, all the court is going to say, are they trying to physically harm themselves? Are they a physical harm, a threat to the community? There's nothing you could do if not. If they have not tried to kill themselves or kill someone else, there's literally nothing you can do about getting them help. Nothing you can do. So that is why people around him, a lot of people are like, well, he don't have a good team. He don't have a good circle. Yeah, he could have the best team, the most loyal, the most ride or die. It's nothing that they can do. He literally would have to try to kill himself. He would have to try to kill himself, like physically try to kill himself. Can't just say it. He can't just say that he's going to do it. He would have to physically try to do it, or threaten to hurt or harm somebody else, and like really make an attempt at it. And yes, Shauna, that is sad. But that is how our government, that is how our system handles people with mental illness. And it's unfortunate that you, as someone who loves them, you have to watch them crash and burn. And there's nothing you can do about it. And that is literally what we're witnessing. So what I'm finding in society is that people, I put up a post today from the a video I posted a while ago with the six lessons in 6 years, my last lock update, and I talked about at the end of the video the value of just doing what you want to do and not really listening to the opinion of others. And something I said was, people judge what they don't understand. People judge what they don't comprehend. So when I hear people judging Kanye and talking about Kanye, once again, yes, the things that he was saying were irrational thoughts. That was Harriet Tubman. When he said Harriet Tubman didn't free black people or something like didn't free black people from being slaves. She just had them go work for other white people. Kanye, that's not what, like, you could kind of see where he was trying to go, but you could tell that if he sat down and talked about that with somebody, he would recognize how irrational that statement was. But he's not in his right mind. So once again, we just have to make sure before we make judgments and before we, make these broad labels, we have to make sure that we are really, taking the time to make sure that we understand what's going on, because y'all, that's what empathy is. A lot of people say that they're empaths and, oh, I feel like I'm an empath. I feel like that's the popular gift right now. I feel like I'm an empath. I can feel things that's going on with other people. But my question is, can you feel that? You know what I'm saying? Can you feel that? Can you feel what's really, really happening with somebody? Do you really have empathy for what's going on with other people, even people you don't agree with? Because true empaths, even people you don't agree with, you can feel where they're coming from. You can kind of take yourself out of your shoes, put yourself in their shoes, and truly feel and understand where they are coming from. That is empathy. That's empathy. So before we come to these rash judgments of this person is canceled or this person is da-da-da-da, take a second and understand their mind. This man has said himself that he's bipolar. Did you research bipolar disorder? Did you talk to somebody with bipolar disorder? Have you sat down with a brother or a sister who's been diagnosed? How about have you sat down with someone who is a loved one of someone who's been diagnosed? Did you really do the research? Do you know the laws when it comes to dealing with mental illness? People saying, well, why they didn't get him help? Why they didn't? No. Like, do you know it's not that easy? They can't get him help. They can't do anything about it. He has to want to do it for himself, or they just got to wait until he self-destructs. Which, if anything, let's become policy makers, or what they call it, policy workers. Let's become change agents and try to work to change those policies so that it doesn't take, that level of crash and burn. I cannot tell y'all how many times we would know, speaking specifically of my situation with my mother, we would know that here we go, it's another episode, here comes the cycle, and then boom. It would take her literally trying to commit suicide for her to get checked into the hospital. It would really take that. It would take a suicide attempt for them to admit her into the mental hospital. And that's what we would have to go through every single time. So really, and think about what happened with Kanye. It's not until literally they find him somewhere. Last time they found him in the house, and they said he was so erratic and he was threatening to harm other people and himself that they finally were able to call 911 and get him admitted. That's what it's gonna take. And it's unfortunate, but that's what it's gonna take. I wanna go back and read some of y'all comments. I got mad oil on my hands. Hold on one second. Yes, empathy and insight. I agree with that. Empathy and insight. The family will definitely notice the difference. Yes, Chris. And that's the thing. You notice the difference as a family member. Especially when they've had it and how their cycle works. when it's coming. You know when it's coming. You know the phases. You can literally talk to them on the phone. You can see them in person, and you're like, okay, they're here. All right, in about 3 more months, they're gonna crash. They're gonna crash. They're gonna crash. Oh, they're not taking their medication. They haven't been on their medication for this long. Like, you can literally tell what's happening with them. Moni said, I have a friend that's incarcerated now because he went off his meds. And see, that's the unfortunate part about it, is that it usually takes something severe happening before they actually get the help they need, like them hurting someone else. You know, a lot of people think it's like people be lying when they murder somebody or they harm someone, and the person says like, oh, they don't remember what happened, or they flipped out, they blacked out. That's a real thing. That's a real thing. And unfortunately, if they would have got admitted to the mental hospital when they were showing signs, when their loved ones was concerned and reaching out for help, that person would still have their life. You know, think about how many people have committed suicide, because eventually one of those suicide attempts are gonna work. You know, when they get into that severe depression phase and they try to commit suicide, one of them are gonna work. You know, and just fortunately, thankfully, in my situation with my mother, it would never work. You know, it would be caught in time, but you just never know. I've literally gotten phone calls from the neighbors. I was in college. My neighbors called my phone. Your mother is dead. We found your mother dead in the house. You know, like that's severe. You know, that's severe. Where we thought she was gone. Like, this is it. This one went through. You know, so it shouldn't take that. It shouldn't take somebody getting that down, that depressed, for people to really take their mental illness serious. It really shouldn't. Medication can change your whole personality. That's another thing. They definitely have to find better medication that doesn't make them feel like a zombie. It doesn't make them feel zoned out. It doesn't make them feel like they're not their true self. You know, they need to find better medication where they can still be themselves and still feel, you know, feel their natural jovial or calm or whatever their personality is, but they just don't have these irrational thoughts and these irrational theories that they kind of obsess over in their mind. Deanna said, I worked in a psych hospital for 10 years and it's real and it's so sad to see. Absolutely. And you know, once again, the thing is, a lot of people just haven't done the research. A lot of people don't have that experience of working in a psych hospital. They don't have the experience of knowing someone and loving someone, you know, who has a mental illness. So they don't know what it's like. And the thing is, some people even have people in their family with mental illnesses, but they be like, oh, you know, oh, they a little touched. My family from the South. So they be like, oh, you know, such and such is a little touched. You know, Uncle such and such is a little touched. And I'm saying Uncle such and such because I really got an uncle who clearly has a mental illness. And for years, he's my grandfather's brother. For years, to this day, they be like, well, you know, he a little touched. They don't know what it is. They don't know the label. Nobody has ever bothered to get him diagnosed. He's just a little touched, you know, and that's how disconnected in our community a lot of us are from mental wellness. And I'm glad that mental health and mental wellness is now becoming more of a part of the conversation. But I really think we need to increase the talk on empathy, not so much being an empath, but really empathy, because once again, it's calling yourself an empath is so trendy now. But I'm going to pose the question again. If you are truly an empath, do you understand and feel where people are coming from and where they are, even if you don't agree with them? Being an empath is not just, oh, I see somebody crying and I cry too. Oh, somebody around me is sad and I feel it. Even when somebody is saying something that you completely think is outrageous and disagree with, and it goes against everything you feel and you believe, do you still feel them? Can you still connect with them? That is true empathy. And we really, really, really have to tap into empathy more in our community. Look at the Meg Thee Stallion thing. You know, like seeing this black woman got shot, y'all. I don't care where she got shot. A black woman was shot, and the world's first reaction was to laugh. A black woman was shot. And the world's first reaction was to laugh, y'all, was to make jokes and post memes. Think about that. Think about how telling that is about our society. Really think about that. A black woman gets shot and the world laughs. The world thinks it's funny. They make jokes. They want to accuse her of being a man. Some saying, oh, well, she was fucking him, so you don't know what happened. Oh, that was literally, they start speculating whether or not they were sleeping together. Think about that. As though if she was sleeping with him, and even if they had an argument, as though that is an excuse for him to be able to shoot her, will he get a pass? Why? Like, really? Really? That situation for me was just like, wow, y'all. We really showing our true colors. We are really showing our true colors for this black woman to be shot. And they laugh. A black woman gets shot and she's a meme. You know, and I do understand that some people was like, well, we wasn't laughing at her, we were laughing at him. You know, and because you know the mug shot and the police report came out and stuff, and it showed that he was 5'3" and 120. And you know, I understand where the humor is. You know, but shout out to my smaller framed men. You know, shout out to the smaller framed brothers out there. That's not nice, y'all, you know. So I do understand, you know, why people were joking about his size, but joking about his size took the focus off the fact that this black woman was shot. Joking about his size took the light off the fact that a black woman was shot, y'all. Like, I cannot say that enough. A black woman was shot. And if she was having a sexual relationship with him, to me, that makes it even a bit worse, because that just goes to show you that was a man, whether they were having sex or not, they were friends. Somewhat, they had a relationship. Once again, just like Oluwatoyin, the sister who was killed by the brother at the bus stop, a moment of a black woman trusting a black man, and she is harmed. Olu was murdered. Meg was shot. Thankfully, she survived, but a black woman trusted a brother. A black woman trusted a black man and ended up hurt. Let's really talk about that. Let's talk about that. Now you got this clip floating around. I don't even watch the show, but the clip is floating around now with Tahiri and Vado. If you're a New Yorker, you know who Vado is. Vado used to be popping like back in the early 2000s, I think Vado was popping. But Tahiri and Vado dating, he snatches her up and grabs her by the neck. And the first thing that people want to point out is, oh, well, she always dating abusive niggas. She was with Joe Button. Joe Button beat her. It don't matter. Why do we not hold the brothers accountable? Why do we not hold the brothers accountable? You know, like, why don't black women get empathy? Why do black women not get empathy? Why do black women not get the love and the care that we give so much? And I'm not saying all people do this. I'm not saying all people have no empathy and don't care about black women and stuff, because fortunately, some people do, fortunately. But what we saw dealing with the Meg situation, what we saw is that most people don't. Most people don't protect black women. Most people don't care about black women. I'm just going to bring this up. And this is no shade, no slight to the brother. If you're watching this, my homeboy, he has a podcast. And it's super dope. I'll probably shout it out soon and name it for y'all and everything. But he has a podcast and they talk hip hop. And if you know me, you know I love music in general, but I'm a hip hop fanatic. So I was listening to his podcast and they brought up the Meg situation, and his comrade that he does the podcast with, his friend, they brought up the fact that, you know, there was a petition going around to deport Tory Lanez. And his friend was more concerned about the deportation than he was about the black woman being shot, and y'all know I was in the comments like, excuse me, a black woman was shot. Like, what are you talking about? He was like, well, I don't think deporting him is right, and I think deportation is a trigger word, and I think a lot of people, I feel like oil is like dripping down, but it's not. He was like, I think deportation is a trigger word for a lot of people, and I don't think we should just be so quick to deport somebody. A black woman was shot, y'all. Fuck that. Like, I don't like, I don't understand. Yes, I am acknowledging that, right now, it's always, but right now, deporting someone and deportation is definitely a touchy topic. But a black woman being shot is also a touchy topic. We're talking about in the midst of a Tatiana Jefferson, who still has not gotten justice, in the midst of Breonna Taylor, who still hasn't gotten justice, in the midst of Eleanor Bumpurs, who never got justice. Eleanor Bumpurs was the first person I heard about, an elderly black woman in the projects who was killed by the police. Google her story, Eleanor Bumpurs. That was big, like Amadou Diallo and all of them back in the day. So, we have never. Tatiana Jefferson, shout out to George Floyd and his family, and the whole George Floyd definitely was the trigger for the movement that we saw. And when I say what I'm about to say, it's not to take anything away from the death and the impact that George Floyd's death had. But Breonna Taylor was before George Floyd. Tatiana Jefferson was before George Floyd. Corinne Gaines, who also was on videotape, was before George Floyd. Sandra Bland, before George Floyd. And these things just go away in the wind when it comes to black women. And Meg Thee Stallion being shot and the world's reaction is a testament to why. It's a testament to why. It's funny to me how people could post, arrest the cops who murdered Breonna Taylor, arrest the cops who killed Breonna Taylor, but then the next breath, they're posting a meme about Meg Thee Stallion being shot. That's crazy to me. That's crazy. I'm like, y'all, hello? Like, these are both black women. The only difference is one of them made it, the other one didn't. A huge difference also is one of them was shot by a black man that she trusted. Come on now. Come on now. We got to do better. And that whole situation just triggered so many different conversations for me. And if you've been following me on Instagram, I haven't been active on YouTube, but on Instagram I've been posting and stuff. And I've been doing a few podcasts. I've been a guest on a few podcasts. One of them was Casual Conversations, The Art of Love, with a good friend of mine, Brother Light, a dope brother. I was a guest on his podcast, and we had a conversation about the art of love. And something that kept coming up was, just the relationship between black men and black women and men and women and all of that, and boundaries. Boundaries. That conversation of boundaries has just been coming up over and over and over. I was a guest on another podcast, Synth, my friend who I told y'all about in the last live, who has the Seymour Sugar Scrubs and stuff. And on her podcast, we talked about boundaries. And oftentimes as black women, we struggle with boundaries. And I ask myself, as people, we struggle with boundaries. But really, as black women, we struggle with boundaries because I feel like oftentimes we go into so many situations when we're young. We're what we call, and I don't know if everybody uses this term, but I know in New York we call it green. When we're young, we're green. We're green. We're blind. We're open to whatever. Kind of naive, I should say. We're very naive, and we believe everything, and we believe that everyone has our good intentions. So we go into situations, especially relationships and situations of love, with our guards completely down, and then we get hurt. Sisters get hurt. Why? Because the world has also said that when black women are loved, we must suffer. The world has created this narrative in movies, in black cinema, that for a black woman to truly be loved, there must be some suffering that goes with it. So we go into these relationships while we're young, open, and we're open to not just the love, but keep in mind that when we think of love, we also pair it with suffering. So we end up suffering and suffering and suffering. And unfortunately, what happens most time, yes, that struggle love, what happens most time is that the love goes away. The love dissipates, but the hurt and the trauma from the suffering remains, which then causes boundaries to be set. A lot of black women start saying, I ain't dealing with that no more. I'm not tolerating that shit no more. I ain't putting up with that no more. And walls go up. Oftentimes, boundaries look like walls, and that's not what they're supposed to be. A lot of sisters have iron fences, brick walls around their hearts, around their soul and their spirit, because they don't want to suffer for love any longer, which is not healthy. It's not a healthy way to set boundaries. It's not a healthy way to experience love. So what we have to do is we have to heal. But I will say it's difficult to heal when things like what happened to Meg happens and the world laughs. The world normalizes it. The world shows more sympathy for the brother than they do for the sister. You know, the world connects more with the brother, because then after everybody start making fun of his height, then you got the short guys coming out waving a flag like, nah, don't play Tory like that. And now he got a team. You know, he got a team. You got Kalani, a sister, dropping a song, and she's like, oh, it's too late to take him off the song, y'all, but I gotta drop the song. No, you don't, sis. No, you don't. You don't have to drop the song. You got Drea, who is a friend of Meg, like, oh yeah, I would want a man to shoot me in my foot. And girl, what? You know, so people find more sympathy with the guy than they do with her. And then that causes black women to feel unprotected. And do you see that that's the narrative that started? The narrative that was put out there was black women are so unprotected. Black women are so unprotected. And that's what you just kept seeing over and over and over. People are having a conversation. Black women must be protected at all costs. Da, 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 da. And I'm glad people are having that conversation. But something else I want to say is that, you know, we truly have to be mindful about what we believe as sisters. We have to be mindful about what we believe as sisters. Something that I always push, y'all, is, although it's difficult, and I'm saying it's difficult because, look, I'm talking about this, you know, I'm saying what's happening, I'm seeing what's going on in the world. Although it's difficult, we have to focus our energy on the brothers who do us right. We have to focus our energy on the people who do protect us and care for us and love us. We have to focus our energy on the brothers who hold us up, not down, the brothers who lift us up and make sure that we are well. We have to really be mindful about focusing our energy on them. You know, and I know it's difficult. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. We have to really focus on them. It's hard, yes, especially when in the world so many crazy things happen, and so many times we see black women like Breonna Taylor, like a Tatiana Jefferson, like Sandra Bland, you know, like Ayanna Jones, who was a little girl sleeping in her bed and shot in the head. You know, no justice for her murder. Then you see Meg, who this woman is shot, and the world is laughing at her and dropping songs with the dude who shot her. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so hard when constantly in your face in the media, you're seeing black women be unprotected. But really, let's take a second and just breathe and look at your life. And sometimes we just have to assess who are the brothers present in our life that hold us up. Who are they? And sometimes it's strangers. Sometimes it's that brother who just held the door for you at the store. You know, sometimes it's that brother who said, sis, you look gorgeous today, and didn't ask you for nothing. You know, didn't ask you for your number, didn't ask you for nothing, didn't try to get nothing. He just wanted to let you know that you was beautiful and kept it moving. Sometimes it's that, you know what I'm saying? Like, we really got to start focusing and putting the energy on the brothers who do us right, because I truly believe that we can extinguish We can extinguish those weak ass, valueless, unprotected men. We can extinguish them. And we extinguish them by not giving them any energy. We can extinguish them by not giving them any energy. If we focus all of our energy on the ones who do well and the ones who do right by us, that is what will grow. Just like a plant, just like a flower. If we water our garden properly, we water and nourish what nourishes us, we shall prosper. We got to stop giving light to what ain't nourishing us. That type of energy is not nourishing. Shooting sisters ain't nourishing us. Laughing at sisters who get shot ain't nourishing us. So we definitely have to be mindful about where we focus our energy. And once again, I know it's not easy because it's in your face all the time, but we really do have to focus on that. We as Black queens have to support, respect, and protect ourselves and each other and hold the others accountable. Absolutely. Absolutely. And the thing with sisters is I feel like with sisters, we usually do a great job of supporting each other and holding each other up when we have an enemy. When it's somebody that we're against, we like, oh yeah, Black women, we gotta stick together. We gotta stick together. You know, when we feel like it's some cultural appropriation, cultural appropriation going on, Black women get together and we gonna stick together. When we feel like, oh, some brothers is doing us wrong, Black women get together, we gonna stick together. But even when we're getting done right and when we're getting lifted up, we should be doing each other right regardless. We should stick together regardless. It shouldn't take us having a common enemy to come together. We should be together anyway. Anyway. And not just with Black women, but I feel like that's the community as a whole, men and women. Everybody, non-binary, trans, all. I feel like as a community, we have to come together even when we don't have a common enemy. We need to come together. It's so easy to break us down because we ain't together like we need to be. Moni said, I believe these thought processes are entered into our communities to weaken us collectively. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it does weaken us. It does because, once again, that narrative that Black women are so unprotected and Black women don't have anybody and that's the narrative that's pushed out there. And that's what the narrative that our young girls are believing. You know, my niece, I have a niece that's about to go to college. She's 17 and she's about to go to college and she's, you know, she's just young. And I'm watching her and I know, you know, for the youth right now, social media is everything. Social media is everything for them. And whether y'all believe it or not, it's really telling them what to believe. They really believe what's on social media. So when you see these things of Black women are unprotected and Black women are, you know, that's what they believe and that's what they internalize, and then that's how they respond to the world. So I don't want my niece to go to college where she's going to be on her own and independent. I don't want her to go thinking that she can't trust any Black man. I don't want her to go thinking that the world and that Black men especially are against her, you know. So I have to constantly remind her that my brother, who's her uncle, like, look at your uncle. My brother's dope. My brother's a dope Black man. And my brother's not just a dope Black man because he's good to me as his sister or he's good to my niece. My brother is dope to all women. My brother protects his wife. He protects his daughters. He protects me as his sister. He protects his nieces. But he also protects sisters who are strangers. He protects sisters in the street. You know what I'm saying? And that's a side note, okay? For a lot of people like to say, oh, my father a good Black man, or my husband is a good Black man. Is he good to you or is he good to the world? Okay? Your daddy may have been a good father, but he may be a trash ass brother. Okay? If your daddy was trash, if your daddy was trash to your mama, and he's trash to women in the street, and he's trash to, your daddy ain't a good Black man, okay? He may be a good father for you, but he may not be a good Black man, okay? Let's clarify that, all right? So we gotta be mindful about that narrative that we put, because sometimes we be uplifting brothers who really don't deserve uplifting like that. You could recognize that your daddy may be a good daddy. We won't take that away from him. But if he dogged your mama out, he dogged out his next woman and every woman after that, he dogs out women on the street, he ain't taking care of his other kids, but he taking care of you, your daddy ain't a good daddy, okay? Let's be clear. All right? That's not a good black man. He's a good father for you. He's good to you, but he ain't a good brother, okay? So anyway, I have to remind my niece of like to really acknowledge and focus her energy on the brothers that she has in her life that treat her well and that do the right thing. You know what I'm saying? So to all my sisters who are out there and you're feeling unprotected and you're feeling unsafe, thank you so much, Monet. I appreciate that prayer so much. If you're feeling unsafe, focus on the brothers who do you right. And to the brothers who are doing us well and who are protecting us and uplifting us and holding your other brothers accountable, we thank you, because that is so valuable. To my brothers who are out there and they like, nah, we not tolerating that, I challenge you to hold your brothers accountable. Stop being friends with these bum, dirty, moralist, valueless boys. Grown boys in male bodies. Stop being friends with them. Stop entertaining them. Stop hanging out with them. Stop. If they're not trying to change, if you see some signs of, okay, he wants to do better, they desire to do better, cool. Help uplift them and grow them and teach them. But if it's a brother who he just ain't there, y'all know it's some. He just ain't there. He ain't trying to get there. It's a dub. Okay? It's a dub. So I'm gonna move on from that. But I really just wanted to say that, as far as like everything that's going on with just the topics of mental illness and, just Black women being protected and unprotected, understanding how we set boundaries and why some Black women, their boundaries may seem so firm or may seem, instead of boundaries, they appear as walls. To my sisters who have built those walls in order to protect yourself, and you may be telling yourself that they're boundaries, but they're not. They're actually firm, hard brick walls that are unhealthy. I urge that you protect yourself by acknowledging the brothers who stand for you, the brothers who protect you. Focus and grow your garden wisely. Okay? Grow your garden wisely. Water. Give the energy. Your energy is the water. Give your energy to what nourishes you. And that's what will help you start to kind of, understand the difference between guarding your heart and having walls up and boundaries. Boundaries are healthy. Having brick walls around your heart are not, okay? There's a difference. And then also, like I said, I just want to touch on the importance of empathy. We all have the ability to be an empath. We all have the ability to be empathetic. Research, study, understand. If someone says something crazy, someone says something that's just so outlandish, even if it offends you, research it, study it, try to understand their mindset. Truly try to understand their mindset. And that doesn't mean that you have to agree with them or you got to entertain or any of that, but truly strive to understand. Lauryn Hill said she knew she was growing when she started striving to understand more than being understood. The value is not being understood. It's not in being understood. You're not always going to be understood, but strive to understand. Strive to be able to look at everyone and understand them, connect with them. All right? We really, really got to have some empathy. Once again, we shouldn't have to experience the trauma firsthand in order to understand. A wise man learns from other people's mistakes. Farrakhan said, when you see a man fall, don't laugh, learn. And we learn through studying. All right, family? So I just really wanted to touch on that and just to come and connect with y'all and see how y'all doing. I hope that y'all are well and everybody's taking care of yourself. I definitely will be active on here. I'm going to record some videos. I want to record a video on spirituality and answering some of the questions that I got under the African spirituality video, as well as under the 5 ways to know that you are ready to start your spiritual journey. So I'm going to do one video probably responded to some of my frequently asked questions on that. Feel free to send me personal questions you may have, or like any questions you may have. I'm considering starting to go live on Instagram. Only thing I prefer going live on YouTube. I don't know, I just prefer it. But the good thing about going live on Instagram is that two things. Number one, they have the little question box where people can pose questions on the spot. I definitely like that because I feel like, I get to answer some of y'all questions one-to-one. It's kind of difficult to be able to read all the comments as I'm talking on here. So that's why I'm always like, wait a minute, y'all, I'm gonna go back and read the comments. So I do like going live on Instagram for that reason. Another thing is I like going live on Instagram because I can add people to my live. So I'll be able to like actually add some of y'all if y'all want to be added, if y'all feel comfortable being added, and I can actually like have a conversation and talk to some of y'all, and we can talk about some of these topics. Even though y'all are able to share y'all opinions in the comments, I would definitely love just to like see some of y'all faces and put some faces with the names and stuff like that. So yeah, I may start going live on Instagram more often. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see. I'll let y'all know. Let me go back now and read some of y'all comments. You're looking for the black book list that you mentioned in one of your videos. The black book list that I mentioned in one of my videos, I said I was going to do a list of books I read by black authors. Is that what it is? Brandy said the black book list. I have like, if you scroll down my Instagram, I put up like book lists on my Instagram. I also did, in the wellness community, I do the newsletter where I give like book recommendations. When I did the live, I went live on my Instagram with with Brother Light. After we did his podcast, we continued it on my Instagram, and me and him both gave some book recommendations on there, but I didn't post that on my Instagram page though. Brandy, do you have two YouTubes? Because the same comment is back to you got two different YouTubes, Brandy Cheeks and Brandy Michelle? Let me find out. I'm reading some of y'all comments. Let me see. But what do we do if we black girlfriends, what do we do if we black girlfriends that see their trauma and want to stay in it? How do we help them? Or how do you help black women who are in trauma? You may see their trauma, but they want to stay. Y'all, let me tell you something. That's a great question. Who asked that question? Let me see. Rashidi, I can't really see y'all. Rashidi Lewis. So, let me tell you something. You may have a friend, you may have a family member, a sister, somebody who you see them going through some trauma, you see them going down a path that may not be conducive to their wellness. Let me tell you something, okay? Y'all, as a spiritual advisor, a spiritual consultant, so many times, hey Corey, so many times I see people going down a path that is not conducive to their wellness. So many times, you guys. So many times I can do a reading for somebody. I can tell them, don't do that, or you should do this. Both ways. I could warn them not to do something because it'll be detrimental, or sometimes I will tell them to do something because I know that that's going to be the gateway to their prosperity, and they don't. Corey, thank you so much. You always show love. I appreciate you, Corey. But they don't listen. Sometimes they don't listen. And that is, y'all, something I had to work on that. That was a hard thing for me. Like being a consultant, being an advisor, that was something that was hard for me, was to watch people kind of self-destruct. What I've had to learn is that sometimes they need it. You know that old saying, you gotta learn the hard way, you gotta learn the hard way. Sometimes people really do, unfortunately, have to learn the hard way, and it kills us, it hurts us, especially if you are an empath. It hurts you to see someone doing something that you know is going to harm them, or you know is going to lead to a failure. You know, something that's going to destruct or go against them. That's hurtful. But sometimes you just gotta watch them go through it. And that's really like when self-preservation comes in, because usually people respond in one of two ways. Either, and when I say people, I'm speaking of as the person who has to witness their friend or a family member or a client or whoever go through trauma because they didn't listen, they don't want to listen to you. As the person who has to witness it, usually you respond in one or two ways. Either you stick it out with them and you support them, or you just gotta walk away because it hurts you too much to watch them self-destruct. One or two ways people usually respond. I pick and choose, honestly. Sometimes I'm like, listen, if that's what you want to do, you do it, but I'm going to have to love you from a distance because I can't be a part of that. And when I respond that way, it's usually I'm responding that way because it could also hurt me or harm me in some type of way. So if their self-destruction or their bad decision is also putting me in harm's way, I will walk away. I choose mostly to support. And when I say support, me supporting is like, okay, well, if that's what you want to do, okay. I had to learn to say a lot of okay, all right, okay. Oh, well, listen, all right, your decision is made, okay. It's a lot of just okays, and you just, that's the most support you could give them. You don't turn your back on them, but what I won't allow you to do is to run to me when the destruction occurs. If I told you not to do it, and I told you that this was going to be harmful or that wasn't a good decision, when you fall on that sword, do not come to me to patch up your wound. No. That's where I have to self-preserve. No, because see, that's when you start feeling taken advantage of and you start feeling used. You know what I'm saying? When you tell somebody not to do something and they do it anyway, and then they get harmed, and then they come to you to now save them from the thing that you told them not to do. No. You got to leave them to clean up their own mess, because that's also a part of the lesson. Leave them to clean up their own mess, okay? Leave them to clean up their own mess. So although it's difficult, sometimes you just got to watch them go through it, especially when, it's hard when it's a sister who you may see her in an abusive situation or see her in a situation that's not healthy. It's difficult. It's really, really difficult to witness. But sometimes you just got to let them go through it if they want to, because they'll turn against you trying to save them. You see that all the time. Where you see the sister in the street and the guy is putting his hands on her, and some people try to step in and she end up helping out her man, and that's also a part of a mental illness, and when I say mental illness, it's not like, bipolar, schizophrenia or whatever, but what happens is people in general, men and women, get brainwashed in relationships. I told y'all in the past, that energy of love is an energy. Love is a frequency. It's a vibration. When that energy of love comes in and takes over, it's real. And as Eve and Faith Evans told us back in the day, love is blind. It takes over your mind. You think it's love, it's truly not. You need to, I think they said educate and find, something like that. But yes, love is blind, okay? Why black people don't ever be knowing the full lyrics to songs? Why is that? We make up whatever we think makes sense, but that makes sense to me. You need to educate and find. No. What's the song? You need to hesitate and find. Educate and find. I feel like educate sound right, but y'all get the point. That energy of love is real. And, elevate. Brandy. That makes sense. Thank y'all. Please like the video. I appreciate that. Like the video. Brandy, that makes sense. Elevate and find. Yes. Okay. Thank you. But yeah, love is real, and love is blinding, and love is an energy that is strong. And that's why we have to be mindful when we, embark on journeys that could lead us to love. Because, there's a debate right now, is love a choice, or do we just fall into it or whatever? There's a debate about that. I will say this. Love is an energy. You never know who that energy is going to embody. But You have the choice to choose to start a journey with someone that allows the energy of love to enter. You got a choice of who you're going to entertain as a potential mate. You got a choice of who you're going to entertain as a potential date, as a potential person that you just going to talk to. You got a choice on that, okay? So just be mindful. Pay attention to the red flags, because those red flags are real. Pay attention, okay? Please pay attention to the red flags. Oftentimes, you know, they be fine. They be fine. You know, don't let them come with a little height on them. You know, I'm speaking for myself. They be fine. You know, a little height, little body, little voice, you know, like, they be looking good, you know, and we can see those red flags. Sometimes we ignore them. But we can't, y'all. We can't. We can't ignore those red flags. You really got to pay attention, because what you can't say is, I ain't know. The universe is always going to give you a warning. The universe will always give you an omen. You just got to pay attention. Pay attention to the signs, y'all. Pay attention to the universe. Pay attention to those omens that's coming and coming and coming. Those omens, those signs, and with anything in life, not just in relationships, but anything, any choice, any decision. Omens, the universe will give you signs of what you should do and how you should move. They may come in the form of dreams. They may come in the form of the direction the wind blows. They may come in the form of the sun brightening up and shining at a certain time and going dim at a certain time. You could literally pose a question to the universe, and if it's a yes, the sun will brighten up. If it's a no, it'll dim down and the clouds will come. You can literally communicate with the universe, y'all. I'm telling you, this is real, okay? You can communicate with the universe. Ask for signs, okay? And you will have answers to your questions. So if you want to know, people, honestly, when I get requests for spiritual consultations, y'all, like 85% of them are dealing with relationships. Is this person right for me? Should I be with this person? Is this person right for me? And I'm like, okay, I have no problem. We could do the reading with you. I'll do cards, whatever you want me to do. We could do the reading. But do you have signs? Did the universe tell you? If you are asking me 9 times out of 10, it's because you know your intuition is telling you that something ain't right. You know something is off. You know it. You just want confirmation to go against your intuition. Quite often, people are looking for confirmation to go against their intuition. First off, we know the signs from the universe is just confirmation for what we already know. Everything you need, you are born with. Everything you need, all the wisdom, all the answers is within you. The universe, thank you so much. I appreciate that, Rashidi. The universe gives you just confirmation for what you already know in your spirit, what you already know in your heart, what you already know from that third eye. The universe is giving you confirmation. You already know. It's in you. You know already. Ask the universe for confirmation, though, and really pay attention to those signs. And then also, I told y'all before to communicate with spirit as well. If you want to communicate with spirit, and just, you know, to receive signs and receive answers to certain questions, right before you go to sleep, you can pose a question and just pose it and dwell on that question right before you go to sleep, and you'll dream about the answer. It'll come to you in your dream, okay? Pose the question right before you go to sleep. Pose the question, put it out there, calm your mind, meditate, and you meditate your way into sleep, right? So then there's a window, there's a gateway, there's a window. That's the gateway of crossing over the path, right? The spiritual gateway. Right when you get to that window, right when you get to that path, you meditating on it. You're meditating on your question, and the answer will start to manifest and it'll start to come. So you will be aware and cognizant enough to know that this is the answer to your question, but you are somewhat in a deep meditative sleep of sorts. It's kind of like hypnosis. That's what hypnosis really is. They take you to that gateway point, that point in between when you go into a deep sleep and consciousness. They take you to that point. That's the gateway, okay? So you can definitely get answers to your questions. Any question you have, you can get answers in that way. And then if you want, because I recognize too that some people second guess and third guess and fourth guess. You can pose the same question more than one time. Okay, so if you need you can literally ask Spirit, I need signs in threes. I need 3 signs of such and such and such. And don't go out of your way looking for them, because then you get a little paranoid and you start taking everything as a sign. Don't go out of your way looking for them, okay? Don't go out of your way looking for them. They will come. They will come to you. The signs will come to you. If you ask, you shall receive. Don't go looking for them. The saying is, if you ask, you shall receive. They will come to you. They will come to you in the form of dreams. They will come to you in a way that you will receive them, that it'll be no questions. Okay? And you can literally clarify that. Once again, the more clear you are with the universe, the better. The more clear you are in your prayers and your requests, the better. So you can literally say, give me signs in ways that I will know for sure. I will know for sure and will not be able to question, and just be patient and wait. And it may not come necessarily within that first minute or two, or you can be clear and ask for a time frame, a time frame of openness. You can literally do that. But I advise that you just be open and you allow the universe to show you when the universe knows that you are ready and prepared to receive. And then you just open yourself up. And once again, don't go seeking. It'll be obvious. It'll be plain as day, to where sometimes it'll even shock you like, don't start overthinking stuff. Don't start overthinking. That's seeking. You start seeing memes and stuff on Instagram and you're reaching and trying to connect that to your life. You see something on TV and it'll be so obvious and so plain that it'll be right there in your face and you're like, oh, okay, I see what this is. All right? So just be mindful of that, okay? All right, I'm about to get off here, y'all. I appreciate y'all and I love y'all. Thank y'all so much for connecting with me and just for joining in and chatting. You could tell it's been a long time, y'all, because I've been fumbling over my words. I've really been in silence and been in like solitude. I told y'all when I was in that 2-week period of, having this feeling that something was coming and experience the revelations and stuff like that within these past 2 weeks. Immediately what I do during that time is I go into solitude and silence. I'm silent for like 90% of the day. Silence. I barely do any talking. I'm barely on the phone. I'm mostly silent. So when you saw me, or if you did check in and listen to the podcast that I was doing as a guest for other people, I was even like picking and choosing when to do that. And after that, I would be silent. Sometimes that we don't realize how valuable silence is, how valuable solitude is. A lot of times in order to receive those answers, you got to be willing to sit alone. You got to sit alone and sit in solitude. And sometimes, especially if you get that feeling that something is about to happen and you don't know what it is, you need to be able to become an alchemist. And you need to be able to transmute. So that way, if anything negative is about to come, you are in a space where you could transmute that negativity into positivity. You could transmute that negative energy into positive energy, right? You don't have to just let things happen to you. You have the power to manifest any and everything in this life that you desire. So if you have a feeling that something is about to happen and you don't know if it's positive or negative, you need to go in solitude. And you need to turn into an alchemist. If you don't know what an alchemist is, or you didn't read the book yet, an alchemist is aside from just a book, an alchemist is a real person. But essentially how they wrote it in the book is the alchemist is a person who has the ability to turn lead into gold. They could turn any material into a material of value. Anything negative or valueless, they could turn into a positive, abundant thing. They have mastered the art of transmuting and transforming. So you have to become an alchemist. If you feel like something negative is going on, something bad is going on with you or someone around you, or just the energy, the frequency, the vibration, you got to go in solitude. You got to sit in silence, and you really have to be an alchemist. And every alchemist has their formula. But truly, the formula goes back to the basics. It goes back to the fundamentals of doing meditation, a lot of prayer work, a lot of altar work. That's what it is. A lot of writing, a lot of journaling, a lot of, interceding. You become an intercessor. I don't know if anybody grew up in the church, but if you know an intercessor are your prayer warriors. You really got to go within and you got to go deep, and you really have to connect with spirit, and you got to manifest. Manifest what it is that you desire. So you know something is coming. You know a lesson is about to be learned. Revelations are about to happen. Once again, even when I pray, all right, y'all, I'm gonna have to get off here soon real quick. My phone on 10%. But even when I pray and I ask God to reveal certain things to me, or I ask God to remove anything and anyone from my life that is not of you, that is not of my higher supreme energy, that is not of my wellness, I ask that they are peacefully removed in a positive way with love and light in the intention of both of our wellness. I'm not just saying remove anything and anyone from my life that ain't no good for me or whatever. You don't want to say that because you don't know how they will be removed. Anything could happen. There's power in the tongue, okay? So you want to be very clear about what you're saying. Be very clear. So when you're transmuting that energy and you get into your alchemy bag, you have to be clear about what it is you desire. If you feel like there's negativity around you or you want to remove, pray that it's removed peacefully. Pray that it's revealed. If you want it to be revealed, pray that it or they are revealed and they shall be peacefully and easily removed with love and positive intentions. Be very clear about everything. That's the key in manifestation. Be clear and be detailed, but not so much with the physical stuff. I feel like we get obsessed with being, clear about the physical stuff and what it looks like. No, we got to get down to the intention. Remove them with the intention of love, with the intention of wellness, with the intention of peace. Get down to the intention, because the intention is what determines what it's really going to look like. Okay? So because it could look how you want it to look, but it still don't feel good. So you want to focus on the intention, focus on the feeling, the emotion, and then you'll see that it's going to manifest beautifully. Okay? Just be detailed, but always start with that intention. What do you want to happen, and what's the intention? What's the why? Somebody asked that in one of the videos. That was actually one of the questions I was going to answer when I do the video on the most common questions about spirituality. One of the questions somebody asks is, what is intentions? And I have a whole video dedicated on intention. But really, when it boils down to it, when it comes down to it, intention is the why. Why? What's the purpose? What is the intention? What's the purpose of that? So when you are really trying to manifest something and you're trying to transmute, or you're praying or trying to manifest, you have to get down to the intention. What do you want? What do you desire, and why? What is the purpose for this desire? Even if it's a physical thing, if you want a house, what's the purpose? What's the intention of that house? What's the intention of that home? Don't just focus on what it looked like. What will that home be used for? Is it to bring your family together? Do you want it to be a place of love and resource and abundance? Do you want it to be a place that's open to the community, to nourish and feed the community? Do you want it to be a place to keep you safe? What do you want it to be? When you're praying for your children, what's the intention of that prayer? Pray for my child to have safe travels. That's good. But what do you want the intention for their safety to be? What's the intention for their travel? Be detailed with intention. Be detailed with intention. And that is truly a key to manifestation. Be as detailed with the intention as you can be with everything in your life. Everything. Okay, y'all, I'm gonna go, because I'm gonna go on for a long time. I love y'all. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all for tuning in, and for everyone who's definitely stuck around for this whole almost hour and a half, y'all. It's been a while. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I love y'all. You said you learn something new every time. I appreciate you. And be honest and truthful with your intentions. Yes, Brandy, honesty, integrity with your intentions. Because let me tell y'all something. Even if you ain't honest with your intentions, the universe knows all. The universe knows your true intentions behind any and everything. And that's what manifests. I posted a video on my Instagram. This is the last thing I'm going to say for real, and I'm getting out of here. I posted a video on my Instagram. It was a clip of KRS-One, and he was saying, God, universe, nature. That is our weapon. That is the weapon of manifestation. God utilizes the universe to manifest according to your nature. Your nature is your true intention. God, universe, nature. God uses the universe to manifest according to your nature. Your nature is your true intention. So if something manifests, you need to check your nature. If the universe has manifested something for you and you looking at God wondering why did this happen, it's because of the nature of who you are, both good and bad, okay? So really check your nature. That is the true, honest intention. All right, I got to go, y'all. I'd rather check off on my own before my phone died, okay? I love y'all once again. Thank y'all so much. And I'll be back very soon. It ain't going to be that long no more, okay? I promise. Peace, y'all.